Bill Belichick's joining Inside the NFL, huh? Is that what's happening?
Correct. With Ryan Clark and Chad Ochocinco and Chris Long.
There we go. Belichick is joining. I'm thrilled to join my new team at NFL Films and to work on such a historic television franchise. I've always appreciated Inside the NFL's depth of analysis, and I hope to bring the same detailed insight to the CW by talking real football with real pros Ryan Clark, Chris Long, and Chad Johnson this upcoming season.
Love it.
As we all know, Chad, I do believe, finished his career as a Patriot, if I'm not mistaken.
He did.
Because I do remember Chad Johnson telling me years and years and years ago when he was on Bengals cam frequently that if he ever made it to the Super Bowl, he would show up at Media Day wearing only a towel. And so, sure enough, Chad made the Super Bowl with the Patriots one year.
But didn't get a podium, right?
He didn't get a podium because he really wasn't doing very much at that part of his career.
Yeah. Second Giants Super Bowl, right?
And that's the one organization that I don't believe would allow him to wear a towel. Of many. Probably the Bengals would have been another. But
Rich, do you remember the interview with Bill and Chad, like pregame? It's been going around where Bill goes up to me, goes, "Hey, just so you know, we're going to be double teaming you all game." And Chad's like, "Oh no, come on, coach." And Bill's like, "No, we're going to have two guys following you."
Let me just say,
all mad.
I do believe. Do they do that show in New Jersey? Do they do that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the studio that we shot NFL 100 all-time team show.
Oh, okay.
And so Bill's worked television in that studio before. Yeah. And once again, I kind of think this is, at this point in time, stating what I believe is widely believed about Bill. Now that he has made many appearances at ranging from McAfee's draft night to college game days, celebrity guest picker segment to the Brady roast, that the Belichick we all saw moving on to Cincinnati is not the Belichick you're going to see.
Oh, no.
And if they do with Bill what we did with Bill in that studio for the NFL 100 program, which is give him a clicker and let him go to work. And he's going to do that with fresh game film from a fresh 40 million people were watching NFL game. And also in studio is somebody who he won a Super Bowl with in Chris Long. Don't forget, one of two rings Chris Long has is with Bill. And clearly, Ryan Clark being the guy that he has shown to be as a microphone-wearing host. That's going to be a fun show to watch.
Big time.
Yeah.
And Bill breaking down tape and breaking down film. I mean,
can't get any better than that, right?
That's great.
That's what we want.
And we're also assuming Bill's watching a lot of CW these days, or more than he ever has.
Come on, Rich.
Come on, man. Stop. Why is that?
Well, he's joining their organization,
why
Chris.
Is that? Do they have some new...
but that guy on the screen is not the guy you're going to see.
Why is that?
The guy on the screen, which is the frown-wearing, I'm not sharing information with you, standing behind the podium guy, that is not the guy you're going to see when he starts to do this. And I guess, is he doing the Manning cast too quite a bit? Isn't that what he said?
Manning cast, I think he's doing Mondays with Pat. I think he's going to be...
Okay.
We're going to get a lot of Bill.
We're
going to get a lot of Bill, Rich, basically until about week 8.
And that's when who hires him?
That's when he takes over as Cowboys head coach.
Oh, this guy.
So,
how about them Cowboys?
Well, I think
McCarthy gets fired on the week 7 bye week, and Bill takes over.
Right now,
can we game on this property?
Now we get Bill week 8 at San Francisco.
Let me tell you
what's not going to happen.
Here's what I am. Well, here's what I am supremely confident in saying is Bill Belichick for whatever he's going to do the rest of his football career, will not be known as a mid-season coaching replacement. That is not going to happen. Period. End of story. The question I think that should be asked more legitimately than my trolling friend across the aisle.
Ooh, I love this guy. Yeah, trolls.
Is
Right there.
what we're going to see out of Bill on inside the NFL and everything else that he's going to do. Will that make him more of a palatable hire for a team looking to recast their franchise? Will that make him more of a guy that an owner would be comfortable in hiring? Because coming off of what we saw the last couple of years, the general sense one got is that here's a guy who will never change his spots, never learn a new trick, because there's only one way to do it. And we're not just going to hand the entire organization over to him because he's difficult, potentially, set in his ways too much. And you're going to see a guy with a sense of humor and a guy that you're going to love to watch and a guy that's going to make you smarter. Boy, howdy, is he going to do that. And does that now recast him as a coaching candidate?
100%.
I think it will.
It's definitely going to.
It always has. Whenever a guy goes
Yes.
and whenever a guy goes in the booth, then suddenly it's just like,
Absolutely.
oh, well, he can talk. He can be more personable. He can be this. He can
Cowher
be
was
that.
living proof of that. Yeah, when Bill went.
And it's not easy to identify the spots now, but there will be 6 to 8 head coaching openings after this season. There will be, guaranteed.
Just a fact.
It's just a fact.
More likely,
Not the one you said a week
more likely that this is what Bill does the rest of his career, or Bill will be in a position next year to choose a job.
Bill will be
Not
the
to be-
number
not to be-
one candidate next year.
To be choosing a job. To be like, yeah, you might be interested in me. I'm not interested in you.
No doubt.
I think that's more likely.
No doubt.
But he may also really like what I think any coach, and you mentioned Cowher.
Bill was.
Well, Bill didn't go back.
No, he didn't go back.
I'm sure he
was
had many
talking about it.
opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely-
But I don't know. I understand your analogy right there. I don't think television made Cowher more palatable. I think Cowher would have been hired,
matter what.
in week 2 after doing just 2 days of work on CBS.
But how was Bill?
Because Bill again came out right now in this coaching hiring.
I only had one interview.
You heard about
Which
all
is
of
crazy.
that. You heard about all, like Atlanta was like, well, I mean, is he going to fit into our world and things of that nature? Right? Wasn't that the Wickersham, Don Van Natta?
Well, he had
palooza we
issues
heard?
with Rich McKay
all
and all that.
allegedly, reportedly. So,
Bill's going to smile. He's going to laugh. Going to tell some stories. And everyone's going to be like, hey, I like this guy.
dude, I'm
like
telling
him already.
you,
And
I've
then
seen it up close.
And then when it's come coaching hire time, they're going to be the Ben Johnsons and the Bobby Slowicks. And then there's Bill.
I'll repeat the story that is one of my favorite stories to tell about the NFL 100 all-time team shoot. It was a 2-day shoot. There were 6 episodes. And I saw Bill show up. They had Hall of Fame busts. It was the first time, I believe, that Canton loaned out busts for a television shoot. And Bill was in the corner, and I took a photograph of him looking at all of the busts, and he was really into it from jump. And the folks that showed up, thanks to NFL Films and Tracy Perlman twisting arms, as she is so expert at doing, and actually I shouldn't say the words twisting arms. She asks and people just say yes. That's more appropriate. But that said, from that moment, I remember the number of people that showed up, and for the defensive line group, the pass rusher group, we had the great pass rusher Mean Joe Green showed up in person. And we're ready to start the segment. You know, it's me and Belichick and Collinsworth and Mean Joe Green and the other defenders who are there. I think it might have been Ray Lewis and Lawrence Taylor were all at the table. If my memory serves, who else was sitting at the table? Because I do remember Mean Joe Green was the last one added there. At any rate, it was the only time before we started taping out of the 2-day shoot that Belichick turned to me and he said, Rich, mind if I ask the first question?
And you told him no, right?
I told him I didn't tell him what I was thinking. What I was thinking was, I can't believe I'm in a position that Bill Belichick is A, asking me anything of me.
Like permission.
Two, he's asking me something about starting a television segment because he's an analyst of a show that I'm hosting. Mm-hmm. And 3, that I'm sitting at NFL Films around a table with all these folks.
Yeah, that must have been
all of it was just like, just rained on me, but I just put it out, of course, go for it. And I thought to myself, it's got to be something to do with the Steel Curtain, Chuck Noll, name it. Mm-hmm. Mel Blount behind you, working the front and the back end together. Tell me about this. We go start the segment. 3, 2, 1. I'm like, welcome back. I welcomed everyone in. And I'm like, Bill, I know you want to ask something of Mean Joe Green first. Go for it. And he says to Mean Joe Green, he goes, that soda commercial you did, how many takes did it take? Because that was amazing. And all of us, like Collinsworth and I, were just looking right at Bill like, really? That's what you did? What? Have a Coke and a smile? Is that what you're saying? That's how he started. He went pop culture with him.
How Joe like?
Joe laughed and he started telling the story about it. Took several takes and, he kept on downing one after the other and he was burping like nonstop. Mm-hmm. It was the real soda. It was the real thing. Couldn't believe they made him do it again.
That's amazing, man.
So that's Bill Belichick.
Legend.
That's what you're going to get. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.